Welcome. This presentation will guide you through the process of securing your PHP Application Programming Interface, or APIs. We will be covering two popular methods: JSON Web Tokens, also known as JWT, and Simple Application Programming Interface Keys, commonly known as API Keys. So, what exactly is Application Programming Interface, or API Authentication? API authentication is the process of verifying the identity of users or applications that are making API requests. The purpose of API authentication is to protect sensitive data and to ensure that only authorized users or applications have access to specific API endpoints. Let's explore JSON Web Tokens, also known as JWT. JWT structure consists of three parts. Number 1, the header, which typically specifies the type of token and the hashing algorithm. Number 2 is the payload, which contains the claims or the data that the token holds, such as the user ID or other user information. And the third one is the signature, which is calculated using the header, payload, and a secret key, ensuring the token's integrity. The benefits of using JWT are that they are stateless, meaning the server doesn't need to keep track of sessions. They are self-contained, as all the necessary information is within the token itself, and they are secure, thanks to the signature that prevents tampering. Now let's dive into how to implement JWT in PHP. This function shows how to generate a JWT. First, we define the header as a JSON object with the type as JWT and the algorithm as HS256. Then we define the payload as a JSON object containing the user ID. After that, we base64 URL encode the header and payload. Finally, we generate the signature using the HMAC with the secure hash algorithm 256, incorporating the encoded header, encoded payload, and a secret key. The function returns the concatenated base64 URL encoded header, base64 URL encoded payload, and the signature, separated by periods. Here's how to verify a JWT in PHP. This function verifies the JWT token. It first splits the token into its three parts: header, payload, and signature, using the period as a delimiter. It checks if the token has exactly three parts. If not, it returns false, indicating an invalid token structure. Then it reconstructs the signature using the secure hash algorithm 256. Finally, it uses the hash equals function to compare the generated signature with the signature provided in the token. The function returns true if the signatures match, indicating a valid token. Otherwise, it returns false. Let's discuss Application Programming Interface Key Authentication. Application Programming Interface Key Authentication is a simple authentication method that involves using a unique string identifier, the API key, which is sent with each request to the API. So, how does it work? First, you generate a unique key for each user or application. Then you store the API key in a secure database. And lastly, you validate the API key on each incoming request to ensure it is valid and authorized. Here's how to implement Application Programming Interface Key Validation in PHP. This function validates the API key sent in the header of the request. First, it retrieves all the headers from the request. Then it extracts the API key from the XAPI key header. If the API key is missing, it sets the HTTP response code to 401, indicating unauthorized, and returns a JSON response with an error message. Next, it checks the API key against the database using the check API key in database function. If the API key is not valid, it sets the HTTP response code to 403, indicating forbidden, and returns a JSON response with an error message. Now let's compare JWT and Application Programming Interface Keys. JWT are stateless, contain user data, and can expire automatically, but they can be more complex to implement. API keys are simple to implement and easy to revoke, but they require a database lookup for each request, and they don't expire by default. If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Visit codelucky.com for more such useful content.